pisses me off. Not because I'm soft. I'm not soft. But if you want to wrestle, let's wrestle. If you have a problem with me, let's settle it. If you can't beat me on the mat, try to beat me in the parking lot. But if you can't beat me on the mat, I doubt you can do much to me in the parking lot.
The previous administration took all the guys. Wink, wink.
I just want some ice cream, man. I just want some ice cream.
Welcome back, folks. As always, I'm Schares alongside Mack Reiter, and this is the Shots Fired podcast. We are bringing you episode 16. It's going to be 2 days late because I fell asleep on Monday and we were unable to record, even though me sleeping and snoring probably wouldn't be much worse than what I usually do on this podcast when I'm awake. So we're here now, though. We're coming to you. We released on Thursday. First order of business I think we have here is a bet that you lost, Mac.
I did. Greco let me down, man. I needed 2 medals out of Greco to hit the over on our 11.5 medal prediction, and we only got 11. So you took the under, I lost. Sorry for cheering for America. So I will be closing out the episode today.
I was getting real nervous going into Greco, but then I remembered, this is America and it's Greco.
Yeah.
So I'm
usually don't win more than 1 or 2 medals. All I needed was 2.
Yep, they had another guy wrestling for bronze, I believe, right?
Yeah, we lost a lot. I'm going to find out all the people that lost bronze medal matches, and I'm going to reach out to each and every one of them and let them know I'm not happy.
I'll help you on that. We get some addresses, some phone numbers.
Some home addresses.
Yeah, why not?
Make a couple house calls.
I don't know if anyone else is entertained with this or not, but I think we're just going to do it every episode. We're going to have a little bet, and then loser has to close the episode out. So the winner sets the line from the week before. We already have a real good one, I think, for next week. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to do it at the end?
Well, let's wait till the end. Let's keep them waiting.
Okay.
So the suspense will make it better.
All right. All 4 people are really going to be in suspense here till the end, so good deal. Okay.
I wouldn't mind, too, going a little curveball on you here. We didn't talk about this before, but I would, just before we really get into it today, a little moment of serious, like to say, Mike Duro was a guy that passed away, obviously, but since our last time we recorded, a phenomenal man. I talked to him a lot of times. I said a few times over the last week that I don't know that there's anybody out there that loved wrestling more than he did. Everything in his life was about making the sport better, and he's just a very, very, very genuine man. And he's obviously gonna be missed. Kind of hit close to home because he used to always, every time I'd see him, he'd always ask me about my dad whenever I'd run into him around there. And then he ended up passing away from the same thing as my dad did. So that
was the same thing, huh?
Yep, that was the same glioblastoma. So about the exact same amount of time too, from when they were diagnosed to when he ultimately passed. So pretty similar. That brain cancer is a terrible thing. So in all seriousness, Mike Duro, phenomenal person.
Did you, wrestling-wise, ever cross paths with him? Obviously, you talked to him, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I've seen him. Like I never got the chance to be coached by him. He wasn't really involved in the freestyle circuit, at least the youth circuit, when I was still around Iowa. And then obviously once came up to Minnesota, wouldn't have been coached by him. But, I seen him. You see him everywhere. I never missed an event. And he just was always willing to talk. Didn't matter what was going on. He was always willing to talk. And he was a good man. So he'll be very sorely missed.
I couldn't believe, just looking at Twitter, it's felt like all week, like every other tweet, maybe even more than that, was something about Mike Duro on my timeline. And it the first couple of days it blew me away. Then like the days after that, it's like, oh my God, this is still going. He had some reach apparently.
He knew everyone. He knew everyone.
I was blown away by how many people were saying stuff on Twitter. So, I guess that was the most surprising thing to me.
And then also actually, Jim Morgan, Marty Morgan's dad passed away as well this past week. And he was another very, very good person. Dad of 2 Olympians and a NCAA champ.
Oh, wow.
John and Gordy both were Olympians for the Greco team, and then Marty was a NCAA champ. So he had a pretty good set of kids there, and their Morgan family's kind of the first family of wrestling up here in Minnesota. And Jim Morgan never missed a Minnesota duel. He was everywhere.
That's pretty cool.
He was good dude. Him and my parents got along real well. They always had a running joke at every social after the duel of who would leave first, and they would always try to outlast each other. Neither one of them wanted to be the first to go. So.
Those are usually on like Sunday nights.
my parents had a 4-hour drive home, but they were like, no, we gotta outlast the Morgans.
Oh man. Yeah, I can see Doug not wanting to give in on that.
No. So hopefully those two are having a beer together up north right now. But that's all we need to do for seriousness.
Yeah. Seamless segue.
Yeah.
Into Fargo talk.
Yes.
We talked before in our half-hour pre-podcast meeting that maybe we're not really going to break anything down because we don't really know or really care. We're just going to watch it play out, I guess. Not really much to say, but you wrestled at Fargo, what was it, 4 years? I actually wrestled up there 1 year. 5 years.
Yeah.
I was up there once. Baseball got in the way the other years, but we actually had a little experience. So, I don't know. Where do you want to start with this?
We talked a little bit. I guess, our nice little segue, the Morgan family, actually, Marty, I kind of got a kick out of the story. I always have. Marty's first time ever getting to meet my dad was at Fargo, after my junior year. So they were kind of starting to recruit me. And I was just getting done with session, and then I happened to run into Marty coming up off the floor. And he said, is your dad here? I'd like to introduce myself. And I said, well, I'm sure he's probably out in the parking lot somewhere. And he was like, well, what's he doing out there? I was like, well, probably tailgating, I guess. I don't know. And so we went outside and walked across the parking lot, and sure enough, there we walked over. My dad, my Uncle Rod, and a couple other people. I'm sure a couple of my brothers were there, and they were grilling steaks and drinking beer in between sessions, waiting for the next session to start. And I remember just Marty being like floored. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're like, "We're waiting for the next session. We're grilling some steaks. Do you want one?" And he couldn't believe that my parents were, my dad and Uncle Rod were doing that, and he knew my Uncle Rod because Rod had reffed up here in Minnesota for quite a while by then. So that was kind of how I got introduced to Marty too, was through my Uncle Rod, and it was just funny because he was just shocked that he loved it. He thought it was the coolest thing ever that they were just drinking beers and grilling steaks.
Doug was always so fun at tournaments because you'd always go to the round or go to the bar in between rounds because usually Bosco down, they won the consolation. And so you had 2 or 3 hours there to lube up a little bit. And then you come back and you sit with them in the front row and you'd bet on the stupidest things. Like we'd be at tournaments out in Western Iowa where you don't know anybody and they'd be betting on who's going to win the match. And you don't know who either guy. And they would be, him and just other people around him would be cheering so loud for those two guys. They'd be cheering louder for them than the Bosco guys. The whole gym would be empty and be like, oh, that must be that kid's dad over there. He's going nuts. Like, no, actually, Dad's up there being quiet. That's just some random guy from Bosco going nuts.
Do you remember the time when my dad went over and gave the heavyweight from, I can't remember what school it was, he gave him a pep talk going into his match because he had bet on the guy?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I was out there for that.
It was amazing because, if one of us kids were wrestling, he was super serious and, very nervous, very, didn't want to talk to anybody, wanted to be alone. And then the second that was over, let's have fun. Let's laugh. Let's, relax and enjoy it. But,
oh, yeah.
And it didn't change whether you were at some, at the Hudson Invitational or if you were at Junior Nationals in Fargo.
Oh, man.
So, you said you had a couple of stories too from Fargo?
Yeah, a lot of them are, it's just kind of little small things. There's nothing real crazy too long. Like we were talking before, the only year I went was my freshman year. And, I'm from small town, freshman in high school, didn't really get out a whole lot. I was a little nervous to go. So, my dad takes me there. You came with, because you were going to train with greco, but then you were just going to go with freestyle. But I was wrestling greco, so I went early. I'm like, at least I got Mack with. We talked the whole way there. I wasn't really quite as nervous. And then apparently they wouldn't let you train. So I was like, okay, now my dad just left, and there goes Mack. So, all right, it's going to be a lot of fun. The nerves wore off pretty quick, but it was quite the shock right away of going from, at least I got him to, everyone's gone. All right.
Yeah, that's a long story in itself too. Why I was there to train greco, while not actually wrestling greco at nationals and whatever. But that Fargo camp's a blast, man. I used to love going to Fargo camp. You're just, do they still do it down in Des Moines at that camp? What's the Army?
Camp Dodge was
Camp
what
Dodge?
it was. Honestly, I don't really know.
Know where they're doing it at now.
That was always such a perfect place.
It was the bare minimum, and you didn't need anything. And really, you don't want anything, because you're gonna put like 80 high school kids together with a pump full of testosterone. They're gonna get in trouble. If there's anything around to get in trouble in, they're gonna get in trouble. And Camp Dodge was the perfect place to do it at, because there was nothing you could do. Like, you're all just in this barracks, and you go work out, and that's it.
I've never had more trouble making weight than I did there, because it was, I had to cut 5-10 pounds. I can't remember what it was, but they're giving you like 3 awesome meals a day.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, so do I need to cut one of these out, or I'll start cutting weight tomorrow?
Yeah.
It was a lot of that. But yeah, it's a great place to do it. I think I remember there was one morning we were supposed to go for a run, and they always said greco camp was way better because it was way more relaxed than the freestyle camp.
Yeah.
We were going to go for a run early in the morning. We all woke up, we're ready to go, and it was the Dominguez boys. They still, I've asked them on Twitter or on Facebook about this a couple times, but Zach always denies it. But we woke up, and there were no coaches there because they were too hungover, so we didn't run. To this day, he'll still deny that story, but I know for a fact that was what it was. So we got out of a run one day for that.
That's nice.
And then I remember we were just kind of messing around one night after practice was all done. And one of the coaches comes running up, and he's like, the Paulsons are gone again. We got to go find them. So Trent and Travis Paulson just were MIA, just probably causing no good, like you said.
Yeah. Those two would always find a way to get in trouble. It didn't matter if you were locked inside of a Army camp. They were going to find a way to get into some trouble.
I'm sure they weren't the only ones. But I guess back to my making weight story. I wrestled greco, and I had to wrestle freestyle. It was the same weight for both. And I, again, got way overweight for freestyle, and I was like, I'm screwed. I honestly was like, I don't think I'm going to make it. And that night, we were in our room. You got, like, I was 15 years old, and I'm with 3 other 15-year-olds. Like, there's no
That's a recipe for success.
Yeah. And the one guy chewed, and he's like, you guys want to try this? So we're like, well, this is before cell phones, pretty bored of watching TV. What else are we going to do?
Yeah.
So, took a dip, sitting there, and then I was like, for 5 minutes, I was like, this is the greatest thing in the history of the world. And the next 5 minutes didn't go quite as well. I was like, I'm not feeling quite as good. They're like, oh, yeah, you're probably going to throw up. I was like, no, I think I'll be all right. 5 minutes later, in the bathroom, throwing up. Woke up the next morning, and I was like half a pound over. I was like, oh, thank God. I bet I was 5+ pounds over. I just thought I was done.
Should have put another chew in.
So, yeah, worked out very well for me, I guess, taking my first dip. But just a lot of random weird stories like that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Fargo, I'm kind of disappointed. It looks like I was kind of running through Flo's preview of it. It looks like there's quite a few guys going, which is awesome. But, you kind of look at it and some of the biggest names aren't going because they're getting, and the Junior Worlds isn't for a long ways away, but they're not wrestling it because they got the Junior Worlds coming up. It's interesting to me. Like, Fargo used to be the place you had to go to. If you wanted to wrestle in college, you had to go to Fargo because that's where you're going to get noticed by a college coach,
Mm-hmm.
And just it sucks that it doesn't seem like it's that way anymore. Not that it's not still an incredibly deep tournament.
Mm-hmm. I didn't look it up, but I think kids probably wrestle less matches now. But back when we had vertical pairing, is that what you call it?
Yeah, line bracketing system, yeah.
That was always interesting. You had no idea who you were wrestling.
No.
Until you went for the bracket.
Just wait till they taped up the new copy up there, and it's like, oh, I'm red. Okay. And I'm wrestling this guy that's like 60 names away from me. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure out like where the bye is going to fall in, and you're like, well, we need an odd number for the bye to exist. Like, how many guys got beat out last round?
I was one spot from getting the bye and being an All-American in Greco. I ended up being, one match away. So close.
Yeah.
I had such an easy draw. I didn't wrestle any of the good guys, though.
Hey, that's not your
Dustin
fault.
Schlater, Dan LeClaire, they were all right next to me.
And you just kept not getting them?
Yep. I was 3-0, then I lost 2 in a row.
Winning record though, still.
Yep, winning record. I was 500 because I went 1-2 in freestyle.
Okay.
So there you go. Those brackets aren't online anywhere, man. This is before not before the internet, but you need to give me Dustin Schlater's number, and I need him to take a picture of that bracket.
I bet Pat still has it. I bet his dad still got it somewhere.
You think so?
I went to their house one time when we were in college, when CP and I were in college. I went to their house. We were traveling through Ohio for some reason, wrestling related, and they had a pretty awesome basement that was like a shrine to the many, many, many awards that Dustin and CP had won over the years.
Yeah, he doesn't need that. You think he could just send that to me?
You would appreciate it more than he would.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So if you see him anytime, tell him I want that bracket.
Yeah, I actually just talked to him on Monday, so I will bring that up to him.
All right. 2001? No, 2002.
Okay.
Fargo.
All right, I'll get you that.
Get that done for me. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
What else you got? Anything else from Fargo?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't know. It's always exciting. Stuff to kind of fill in your workday when you're lunchtime, checking brackets, whatnot.
Do you like the idea of freestyle going first?
Yes and no. It's great until it's done, and then you're like, Greco, no big deal. Like, Greco first is kind of a build-up to freestyle to me.
See, I think I would have wrestled Greco if freestyle was first, but like I never wanted to wrestle Greco because my main focus was freestyle. I didn't want to do anything that could jeopardize that tournament. So if that tournament's already over, I think I would have wrestled Greco. And it's easy to say now, and maybe I wouldn't have because there would have been the thought of having to make weight again. But I don't know. I think I would have tried it at least 1 year of the 5.
Well, that's totally their thinking, obviously, right? Hey, you're already here. Might as well do it.
Yeah.
But they had guys like me where I just thought I was better at Greco, but it was just like we said before, there were just like 50% less people. So it's like, man, I'm placing a lot higher in these tournaments. Well, yeah, that's just because there's less kids in the bracket.
For sure.
Okay. I don't really have anything else on Fargo, I guess.
We've talked a little bit before too about from when Bart was wrestling, and it's kind of, you brought it up about like, man, that not a bad story to tell, just kind of give a little more backstory into, all the things that have gone on over the years. And when Bart was a senior, after his senior year, he was wrestling at Fargo, and nobody wanted to coach him from Iowa. None of the Iowa coaches wanted to coach him because he's going to Minnesota, and they really wanted nothing to do with him. So Jared Lawrence and I, we decided, well, we're going to coach him then, and nobody had any problems with it. And he had trained all summer up here in Minnesota with us. He moved up and lived with me, and Jared had put him and David Thorne through a lot of workouts together, and Danny Zilberwork. So he had been training all three of them together. So it wasn't like Jared was just coaching him out of nowhere. But, Bart ends up getting on a roll, and he starts winning quite a few matches, and he ends up becoming an All-American. And then the second that he was an All-American, Keith Massey got sent over to talk to me, and it definitely was not coming from Keith Massey. I know exactly where it was coming from. It was coming from the junior director at the time. You can probably do a little research and figure out who that was. But Massey came over and said, hey, we've decided that, or it was decided that a Iowa coach has to coach Bart from now on. And I was pretty pissed about it because I was like, oh, you guys wanted nothing to do with him until now he's an All-American, and all of a sudden you're like, well, we got to coach him. And so Massey's like, I get it, I understand, like, it's not me, and trust me. And I believe him. I have always had a very good relationship with Keith Massey, and I like him a lot. So he went back to him, and he came back to me about an hour later. He's like, well, I was told that if you wear an Iowa polo, or an Iowa shirt, you can coach Bart. I was like, fine, I'll wear the shirt. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me. And they're like, okay, that sounds good. And then he comes back to me like 30 minutes later. He's like, no, never mind. That's not going to work. They decided it's got to be an Iowa coach. So I told him I'll coach him. He's like, what we're going to do is you stand right behind me. You say what you want me to say, and I'll relay it, and I'll yell it at Bart. And that's what we did. So for Bart's 5th and 6th place match, Keith Massey sitting in the corner yelling to Bart what I was telling Keith to yell. It's just kind of ridiculous that, egos got in the way, I guess, like that. But that's just one of the many things.
It is so ridiculous. That story pisses me off. It's crazy. For wrestling, it's supposed to be the toughest sport there is. Everyone's all, man, we're all real tough. And then there are no bigger bitches than the sport of wrestling as far as freaking egos. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's such a mentality of, if you're not with me, you're against me. And if you wrong me once, it's over. It's like, no, we can disagree on this and still get along over here.
The only thing I cared about was Bart's tournament. And he's just become an All-American, and all of a sudden we're getting told, hey, Mack and Jared can't coach you anymore. And Jared right away is like, whatever, you guys figure this, you Iowa people figure this out. I'm not dealing with this. I've got other stuff to do. And Jared had kind of already started Pinnacle at that point, so he's trying to coach as much as he can, and he was just helping Bart out as a favor to me. And so he kind of was done with it, which I don't blame him. He had other stuff going on, and Bart and David Thorne and Danny Zilberwork were all pretty similar weights, so they were all up right around the same time. And it's just I don't know, I was just super annoyed at the fact that I was told I couldn't coach him anymore, and nobody really cared about him until he's an All-American. But that's the way, it goes sometimes, and so be it. But we made it work, and thanks to Keith Massey, I can't say enough good things about that guy.
I really wish we had a time machine, because I always think of these really good ideas after the fact. The one time we discussed that, Thomas Gilman, he'd run over in the huddle of the other team to shake the guy's hand. But when they wrestled Minnesota, they should have Lezak come down out of the rafters,
yes,
on a rope or something.
Rappel down.
Couldn't do it. Yeah. You should have had Bart wear a Minnesota singlet.
Oh my God.
And keep his warm up on, till he's on the mat, back to the coaches. How awesome of a troll job would that have been?
That would have been amazing. That's when I tried to get Stever to go stand behind Ramos in the NCAA finals, so he couldn't stare at him. I wanted him to walk around behind him to see what he would see what Ramos would do if he stands directly behind him. How does he stare him down? I tried so hard to get that message relayed to Stever at that NCAA tournament. There were Big Tens. I can't remember what it was, but I was just I was reaching out to everybody I could to try to get somebody to tell Logan to do that to him. I thought that would have been the funniest thing in the world. But yeah.
No, you weren't. You were in the bar telling everyone in the bar that story, and then you got there.
But I was telling people.
I was telling a lot of other Minnesota people.
Yeah. Nobody had Logan's number. I was screwed.
God damn it.
Yeah, no, if Bart would have wore a Minnesota singlet, that would have been absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, that'd been perfect. Yeah. Oh, great story.
So that's Fargo. I'm excited.
I'm excited for it too. There's just a lot of little stories, that really aren't even, I don't know, great to tell. A lot of you got to be there stuff, but it's a fun time.
Yeah, it's just such a great ending to the season. It's like these guys that are the seniors that are graduated, going off to college, it's their last chance to compete before they're a member, of their respective university they're going to, and just kind of it's a great tournament. I wish I could go up there again this year. I used to love going up there for that tournament.
Every year in the fall, I say, I'm going to try to make it to that next year. And then we get close, and it's like, no, I'm not even thinking about going to that. That's too long.
Absolutely not going to drive to Fargo.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Close the book on that. Seamless segue to the next thing. What's the next thing?
I got a little bit of hot water today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it pissed some people off.
Uh-oh.
But
sounds like Wednesday.
Yeah, but we talked about this. It wouldn't be shots fired if I wasn't trying to upset some people. So Monday I decided I had been following a ton of official Twitter accounts for a lot of the Division I universities and stuff. And Monday I was like, got it in my head. I was like, I got a funny joke here. So I went through, and thanks to Jason Bryant's handy NCAA preview he puts out every year that lists all of the official Twitter accounts for every Division I team, I was able to go through and check, and I started following every single one that I wasn't, except for one certain university. Very clearly a joke. I mean this in the nicest possible way, but I don't really care what's going on with Davidson wrestling. But I follow him just because of the joke. And I tweeted out that, I'm now following every single Division I university except for one. And even I have to have some standards. And apparently some people didn't think it was funny. But yeah, Luke Eustace tweeted at me about, we still send, or that's funny that you ask for donations to Dad's golf tournament every year when, and we keep sending it, but so you apparently don't have standards then. And hey, I don't. You know what? You're right. I don't have standards then. I'm willing to. I will definitely ask for help when it means, obviously Iowa wrestling is going to sell. Iowa wrestling stuff is going to sell, and it's a fundraiser. The goal is to raise money, and it raises money for the community, and that's kind of, obviously what I care about more than anything. And I don't know. It was a joke. It was simply a joke, and apparently some people got offended. I did get, how strongly I absolutely love when wrestling fans talk about so-and-so has no class. And I got one of those tweets.
I think that was one of our podcasts that didn't record. We talked about worst wrestling cliches.
Yes. The class tweet. I got one, and it was cryptic. I don't know if he was insinuating that I don't have class or somebody else does it, but God, I hope it was about me that I have no class. I've experienced many walks of life, and I have been in a lot of social circles. And there has never been a social circle I've ever been in my entire life that uses no class as an insult to the extent that wrestling people do. Like that's like the triple dog dare of insults within the wrestling world. Like the second you breach that and you bring that out, like you just played the ultimate trump card.
It's like on Twitter or any social media where you attacked her grammar. It's like, all right, you just admitted defeat. Because you got nothing else relevant to say on this.
Show some class. I don't know. That's just, either way, I thought it was really funny. Mark Hall liked my initial tweet, so it had to be pretty good. I'm going to take Mark Hall's opinion over a few other people's opinions, but
well, this is quite the pro troll podcast here because you and I are both big time trolls.
Right. I mean, that's obviously what it was. It was a troll job, and that's who I am. That's who we are.
It's always funny when people are like, "Oh, I showed that troll what was up." It's like, no, the second you engaged, you lost. The second we know we got a reaction, you lost.
Right. My good friend Gordon Beershank, he always describes it because my brothers and I always try to get him to engage in some of our idiocy at NCAAs every year. And he describes it as a mud pit. He's like, there's no possible way I can get involved with you guys without getting sucked into the mud pit and getting dirty. Even if I walk out of there as a winner, I still got muddy. So now it's just this running joke where we just talk, like, we try to suck him into the mud pit because we're inevitably trying to just have some fun. And that's all it is.
What's the Thomas Gilman quote where he was talking about taking Piccinini out and fighting him in the parking lot? He's like, I'm not above it. I'm not below it either. It's kind of like, yeah, I'll come down to any level you want me to, really. I don't care.
Which I love that. That's awesome. Like, that's one of the all-time best quotes. And I love that he put that, Tony was awesome enough to put that as part of our intro into our podcast. Like, that's great. I'll fight you in the parking lot.
The one NCAA tournament ever that I went and got quotes from people, that was the one that I pulled out of him. So I want to take full credit for that one.
You deserve it.
I do, man. That was a huge soundbite. The one where he talked about fighting Piccinini, I was like, yeah, there we go. All you guys are asking about I can't even think of a dumb question that most of these guys ask. It's like, no, let's talk about what Thomas Gilman thought about Nick Piccinini punching him in the face.
Yeah, Thomas, how did you feel as you scored your 13th point of the match?
Yeah, exactly.
I felt good. No, great.
How you feeling going into tomorrow? Yeah, just dumb questions.
Right.
Like, I cannot listen to interviews like that. It's stupid.
One of these days we're going to have to get somebody on here and do an interview.
One of these days. Yeah, you're right. I see our boy Pat Downey's, he had some shirts put out, and it said, I'd rather throw you than know you, I believe, on the front.
Did he really?
Yeah, I really wanted to get one, but the logo was, I don't know what the logo is, but it just was not a good looking shirt.
I am buying that shirt.
All right.
Did you see my guy Richie?
See your what?
Richie Lewis? He's training, man, 2020.
Is he?
He's going all in until 2020, then he's going to transition to fighting.
U23s again?
No, he's going big guys this time.
Yeah, I'll be about 30 by then probably, so.
I feel like Richie Lewis isn't the kind of guy, when he says he's all in on training, what do you think, his all in is?
Oh, cuts back on the recreationals just to twice a week? I don't know.
I mean, he'll cycle off at like 2 weeks in front of competition.
I don't know. He does drugs. I totally made that up. I have no idea.
It feels like he should. It feels like it.
Yeah. I don't know what training would be.
Yeah.
Just drinking less. I mean, switching to light beer maybe.
Richie seems like he's a guy. I want to party someday with Richie.
I do too. That'd be fun.
When he almost climbed into the stands after getting beat out in Cleveland because somebody yelled something from the stands, I was so excited.
I don't think I knew anything about that.
So some Iowa fan yelled something at him because he was like walking off the arena floor. He just got beat out in the blood round, and he's walking off the arena floor, and some guy standing up wearing an Iowa shirt yells something, and he stopped and he turned and he starts going towards, and he's like trying to climb the railing, and the Iowa guy was like up like 6 or 7 rows, so he's ways back, and he's like trying to climb this railing, and the Rutgers, like, Pritzlaff's trying to pull him back down. Like, come on, man, you can't do that. You can't go into the stands and fight somebody. But, like, I mean,
I'm not above it. I'm not below it.
Exactly, and I get it. Like, the guy just had his dreams crushed. He wanted to be an All-American. He just got beat out his senior year. But I also understand it from the Iowa guy's perspective because he deserved that. Like, Richie deserved to get that. Whatever was said, Richie 100% earned it from his antics at Big Ten. So, like, I'm all in on nobody did anything wrong there. And ultimately nothing happened, but, like, I don't think anybody was doing,
No, I love talking some crap on the internet and whatnot, but yeah, there's definitely sometimes you just kind of got to eat it because, yeah, there's really nothing you can do. They showed you what was up, so.
For sure.
Okay. You got trumped, I guess is what I was trying to say, so.
What's that?
All right. You got trumped is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe that's not a good line to put in there either.
Ooh, we're non-political podcast.
That was not where I was going with that.
Yeah, we do not want to go down that avenue.
Oh, yeah.
There are no winners there. Last little thing we kind of talked about was our match review. We've hinted at it for a while. And if I'm going to be true to my path that I've chosen in this life as a real life internet troll, since I have decided, or I get to decide what match we're going to review, there's only one possible way I can go with the very first match. And we tried to find it, the full match before we came on here. We couldn't find it. We were only able to find about a 2.5 minute highlight video from the NCAA website. But it's going to be the Jason Ness, Dan Dennis NCAA finals from 2010. And so, it's a great match. What I want to do in this, and as we move forward and with this match review, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but there's so many amazing matches from the past. And I guess we can analyze it as much as we want or what we think happened, but I just kind of want to relive some of those, whether it's the Zadok versus Freyer match or something like that, or, when Borchell came back in the semis, one of those, there's so many outstanding matches from the past where, I just kind of want to relive them. And so we're going to kind of chip it away one by match per week. So since we don't have the full match here, you just got to Google Jason Ness versus Daniel Dennis. The first pop-up's a little 2.5 minute highlight video from the NCAA's website. And then next week we're going to kind of talk about it. I picked this one really because I've got a couple backstories from it because that was my first year coaching. And obviously I trained with Ness his entire time at Minnesota, and I was down on the arena floor that entire tournament. So that was kind of why I wanted to do this one first, and to be true to myself as the knucklehead that I am.
No, I mean, there's almost really no better one you can do for this kind of Iowa, Minnesota podcast we like to call ourselves here. So, yeah. I'll have to rewatch it again. I've watched it many times, but take some notes. And be prepared.
What you think. I mean, yeah, I got a lot of things I'd love to talk about with this match. So we'll get to that next week. That's you guys' homework. For next week, we'll review that one, and then I'll come up with a new match for the week after.
All right, good deal.
We got any?
We have two listener questions now.
Oh,
probably
yes.
should kind of fly through this a little.
Your dad and Eddie?
Yep, my dad and Eddie. Yeah, how did Eddie's listening experience go?
I think it went well. He enjoyed it, even though we kind of trashed him a little bit. I think he enjoyed it.
All right, good deal. Well,
100% positive feedback from our two listeners.
Yeah, well, actually, we got we already had a 1-star review. Now we have a 3-star review. So we have all reviews. We have all bases covered.
We got every star?
Yeah, yep. We do.
That's a 15-star review as far as I'm concerned.
I know, that's the highest honor. We have every star review. So thanks for the listeners for doing that for us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, man.
All right, we'll breeze through these quick. We had the Blood Round Wrestling podcast would like to know, how much will Iowa lose to Michigan by next year? Quick, your response or answer to this is what?
Man. Are we talking Big Tens, NCAAs, the duel?
The duel. Let's go just strictly duel.
The duel. Iowa loses to Michigan by negative 18 points next year.
Okay, again, real quick. I looked at this and I was like, oh, I was going to blow him away. You know, my go-to line was going to be, that rocket ship has sailed.
Oh.
As Kuhn leaving.
Yes.
Wait, but a rocket ship sail?
Launched. That rocket ship launched.
Okay, there we go. Let's edit this and go back. That rocket ship has sailed. Again, we're not going to edit that. Maybe somebody listening will edit that. So, okay. I think it's going to be really close.
Is it really? I can't even think.
The only match is going to be a blowout is Matten against Spencer Lee. Because I don't know who's going to. I mean, the rest of them are pretty close. You're going to have Micic, DeSanto.
Yeah.
You're going to have probably Kanan Storr against Max Mirren. Pretty close match. Michigan has like 73 141 pounders, by the way. So there's that.
So their best guy should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then 49, you have Malik Amin against Lugo.
Okay.
57 is Pantaleo against maybe Caleb Young. I'm hearing Jaron Glosser. I don't know. So insert whatever. I mean, that's if Caleb Young doesn't get down there, that's maybe a blowout for Michigan.
Okay.
Logan Massa, Marinelli, Miles Amin, Michael Kemmerer. That's a toss-up. Then 84, you got Jalen Embry against, you assume, Cash Wilkie. So, I mean, that's not, I don't know. I mean, you got Wilkie favored there. You got Jackson Strigow against Jacob Warner. So you got Warner in that weight. And then you don't know what the deal is with Sam Stoll. And I don't know if Mason Paris is going to redshirt or not. So there would be a lot of good matches in that duel. I didn't really think of it.
I got it 25-11 Iowa.
Oh, God, you were adding up there?
Yes, 25-11 Iowa.
I have it 9-6 Iowa. I don't know. I didn't really do the math, but
that's going to be a tough score to hit.
You don't know. Double forfeits. Okay, another one. This is from Choco Taco. Probably shouldn't be giving him any.
Who is Choco Taco?
Long story. Okay. Is Mack more likely to open a beer bottle with his state gold medals or his college All-American awards? First of all, what would be easier to open a beer bottle with?
Probably the state medals. You would have to use leverage. Both of them would require a little bit of leverage. Be a lever system.
This is where you insert your line of gold is a pretty soft metal, so I wouldn't want to damage it too much.
Well, the NCAA ones are wood, so.
Well,
and my problem is I have no idea where my state medals are.
I don't either, and I have one.
I do know where my NCAA All-American awards are.
Where are they?
I have them up here in Minnesota. I have them.
How beat up are those? I mean, I feel like those have seen some things.
No, they're not too bad. They've always kind of been put in somewhat of a safe spot.
Okay.
But
it's fun then.
Yeah, those unfortunately don't have any too awesome stories. I didn't have those for the longest time though. I didn't really know where those were for quite a while until I asked my mom and she found them in a box. In storage at our house, or my parents' house. So, I mean, I have no clue where my state medals are. I would guess they're in the basement at my mom's house. But that would be a best guess I have.
I think all of the state brackets are up, and or they were up last time I was in here.
They are still, yeah. So. Mom's trying to get rid of them. She made Joe
trying to get rid of them.
She made Joe take his. Eddie didn't have to take any. And then Bart, I think she's trying to get him to take his 4. I know Joe took his, and he hung it up in his son Lou's room as a little bit of a little motivator for Lou every day.
A great group text to all the boys. Come get your state brackets.
Oh, sorry, Eddie.
Next one. Oh, sorry, Eddie.
Oh, Mom. I feel like there's so many times where I feel like Mom could make a great joke, but she doesn't have a mean bone in her body, and she just misses so many of those opportunities to take shots at Eddie.
Oh, I can't. I didn't win either, so I can't give him too much crap, but it's just funny.
For sure. So Mom's trying to get me. She hasn't pressed me too hard to take my 4. I don't know why, but mostly because I probably don't have a lot of space for it. But those things are huge.
Yeah, they're not small.
No.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's everyone else's homework too. Think of good uses for Mack's
Yes.
4 state brackets.
Where can they go? Anybody want them?
There you go.
You can write your name on them if you want it.
There you go. Perfect.
All of a sudden I got like Luke Ryland, Adam Bender, Gannon Hurley, and what was the kid's name? They wrestled in the finals my senior year.
Did you wrestle at Helgeson?
Yes. They won all. I'll send each of those guys and they can change the final one.
There we go. That's a great idea, actually.
They can have it.
We just go down the line. They don't want it. Third place guy. Hey, you want this bracket?
I bet Dan Davila would like it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Maybe that needs to be our first interview. What is that guy up to?
I would love to hear about the last 20 years of that guy's life. I've never been so lucky in a match than my sophomore year there.
There's never been worse scouting in the history of the state tournament. I'm up like 4. I think I'm going to go down in third period.
No, he didn't take down. I took top.
Well, whatever.
He didn't have a choice. He took neutral in the second. Tortured me.
Oh, that's right. Well, he acted like he still had never seen the cradle, as I recall.
Yeah.
In the third period.
Good. All right, you got anything else?
I remember that. No, and that just goes to show we literally read every question anyone asks us because those are the only 2. So
yeah, so tweet us a question.
There you go.
All right, I gotta wrap this thing up. Thanks for listening. Eric.
Whoa, time out. No. We gotta have a bet for next week.
Oh yeah,
teased it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Man.
All right.
You're way better at wrapping this up.
This is the moment everyone has been waiting for, the bet for next week. We decided the winner from the previous week has to set the line just so there's no nefarious line changing going on. So I think the line is going to be how many runs the Reiters softball team scores in the Gilbertville Days softball tournament this weekend. I put a lot of thought into this. I think you said your Joe's not playing, right?
Joe is not. Right? Bart is not. It's Eddie and I.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, because the last time I played softball or even a pickup game with Joe, he was on second, and he led off and he stole first base. So that's kind of the group that we're working with there. I'm going to go 35 runs. I think you guys are going to put up 35.
35 runs?
Well, I got to go 34 and a half.
Are you kidding me?
No, I think you guys.
I will smash the under on that all day.
Okay. All right.
You could have said 15 and a half and I'd have taken the under. We're only going to play 2 games probably.
I don't think so.
Oh, man. All right. We're going to see how this goes. I
feel so dumb.
I got to go find my glove out of storage, I think. I used to own a glove at one point.
I thought your number was way high last week.
Yeah, that's true. It ended up being almost right on.
So 30, let's go, I'm going to go 34 and a half, just so it's not a dead on. Okay.
34 and a half.
Oh, damn it. I felt really good about that until you made fun of that. Now I feel really stupid already, like it's way wrong.
I'll be.
I'm a softball guy here, though. I got the softball.
Yeah, that's true. I have not played softball in probably 8-9 years.
Maybe I should play now. That way.
If you don't, I may need a glove if I can't find mine in storage.
I got a glove for you. I got plenty of bats too, so.
Oh, we do need those.
Yeah, there you go.
Right now, I think we're gonna have to ask our opposing team if we can borrow their bat.
Well, that's always a good option too.
I'm sure they're gonna love that. I'm just gonna take some.
Expensive bats are now.
I'm gonna take some BP hitting these rocks over here in the driveway. Okay. Thanks for listening. Obviously, we really enjoy this quite a bit. We keep doing it. Eric always kind of tries to pander for your high ranks on the reviews. I'm not gonna do that. If we suck, tell us we suck. I'm okay with that. You can tweet at us. I'm trying to be better at using the Twitter. I didn't really use it all that often before, so trying to get better at it. Learned today that some people, I guess, jokes don't pass over on the Twitter all that well. So tweet at us your best joke. I'll take your best joke. I could use it. But hey, we enjoy it. Leave us a review, and we'll see you next week.
Something clever.
Thanks, guys.
There we go.